Jessica made $73,000 a year and couldn't afford groceries. Not because she was irresponsible, not because she was frivolous, but because she'd made every smart financial decision society told her to make, and each one had wrapped another chain around her future. Standing in the checkout line, her card declined for $47 worth of food. Jessica finally understood. She'd been financially responsible her way into a trap. It started the way it always starts, with something reasonable. Jessica's card died 3 years ago. She needed transportation for work. The dealership guy smiled and said, "You're approved for $35,000. Look at this beauty. Leather seats, safety features, great resale value. And the payment? Just $520 a month for 72 months. Just $520. She did the mental math in the parking lot. After rent, utilities, insurance, and her student loans, she'd have about $400 left for food and everything else life threw at her. But she needed a car, and the salesman had said her credit score was excellent. That meant she was doing fine, right? Right? She signed. Because responsible people don't drive unreliable cars that might break down on the way to work. 6 months later, her laptop died. She was in marketing. She needed a good computer. The financing was interest-free for 12 months. $2,100 spread over a year? Totally manageable. Then her apartment's ancient HVAC died in August. The landlord was getting quotes while Jessica sweated through 95-degree nights. A portable AC unit wasn't frivolous, it was survival. $400 on a credit card. She'd pay it off quickly. Except the minimum payment on her credit card was only $35, and she had other expenses that month. And paying just the minimum meant she could afford to eat. Each decision, viewed individually, was defensible. Necessary, even. But nobody had explained that necessity doesn't cancel out mathematics. 2 years later, Jessica's monthly obligations looked like this. Rent, $1,400. Car payment, $520. Car insurance, $180. Student loans, minimum, $340. Credit cards, minimum, $180. Laptop financing, $75. Phone, $85. Utilities, $150. Total, $2,930. Her take-home pay after taxes, $4,200, which meant she had $1,270 for food, gas, car maintenance, toiletries, medical costs, and everything else life threw at her. On paper, she was fine. In reality, she was drowning in slow motion. Every unexpected expense, and life is made of unexpected expenses, went on a credit card. The vet bill, the bridesmaid dress for her best friend's wedding, the tire blowout, each one small, each one adding to a balance that never seemed to shrink. She paid her minimums religiously, never missed a payment. Her credit score was still good. She just couldn't afford groceries. Jessica's wake-up call came from the least likely source, Tom, the 60-year-old maintenance supervisor at her office building. She'd been working late again, avoiding her apartment, where the walls felt like they were closing in. Tom was replacing a light fixture, whistling off-key. "You okay?" he asked. "You've had that same energy drink since 5 p.m. "Can't afford dinner until payday," Jessica said, then immediately felt embarrassed. I just forgot to—" "How much you make?" Tom asked, without judgment. The question was rude enough that Jessica answered honestly. $73,000. Tom nodded slowly. "And you can't afford dinner." Not a question, a statement. Jessica felt something crack. "I have expenses, car payment, student loans, my credit cards." "You own your car yet?" "What?" "No, I have 3 more years of payments." "How much is it worth?" Jessica blinked. "I don't know, maybe $18,000? "And you owe?" "Around $22,000? Tom replaced the light bulb. Quiet for a moment. "So you're paying for a car you don't own, that's worth less than you owe, and you can't afford to eat. That sound like a good investment?" Jessica felt defensive anger rise. I needed a car. What was I supposed to do? You needed a car, not that car. Tom climbed down from his ladder. I drive a 2008 Honda, paid $6,000 cash 5 years ago. Know what my car payment is? Jessica knew where this was going and hated it. Nothing. Nothing, Tom smiled, without smugness. And you know what that means? Every month, I got $520 you don't have, plus another couple hundred I'm not spending on full coverage insurance for a car I don't owe money on. I can't afford to buy a car with cash. But you can afford to pay $37,000 for a $35,000 car over 6 years, plus $180 a month to insure it? Math is the same for everyone. You're just paying yours backwards. That night, Jessica did something she'd been avoiding for 2 years. She added up what she actually owed. Car, $22,000 remaining. Student loans, $41,000. Credit cards, $8,300. Laptop, $600. Total, $71,900. She made $73,000 a year and owed nearly as much as her annual salary, and that wasn't even counting interest. She calculated how long it would take to pay off her credit cards, making minimum payments. 14 years. $8,300 would take 14 years and cost her $6,200 in interest. She'd pay $14,500 total for $8,300 worth of purchases she barely remembered making. The laptop financing she'd been so proud of getting interest-free, she'd missed the fine print. If she didn't pay it off in 12 months, all the deferred interest hits at once. 27.99% retroactive to the purchase date. She had 4 months left and still owed $600. Jessica felt physically sick. She'd been congratulating herself for making minimum payments, maintaining her credit score, being responsible. She'd been proud that she'd never missed a payment. But minimum payments weren't responsibility. They were the trap itself. The banks didn't want her to pay off her debt. They wanted her to pay it down at exactly the speed that maximized their profit. Minimum payments are mathematically engineered to keep you in debt for as long as legally possible. She'd been a good debtor, an excellent debtor, and that was the problem. Jessica's plan wasn't dramatic. She didn't declare bankruptcy or sell everything she owned. She did something harder. She got uncomfortable. First, she sold the car. Not what she owed. That was impossible. She sold it for $18,000 and had to scrape together $4,000 to pay off the difference. It hurt. It felt like failure. Then she bought a 2010 Toyota with 130,000 miles for $5,500. It was ugly. It smelled faintly of someone else's cigarettes. The radio only worked on 2 stations. Her coworkers asked if she'd hit financial trouble. No, she said. The opposite. She put the $520 she'd been paying for the car towards her credit cards. Not the minimums, the actual balance. Then she picked up freelance work, just 5 hours a week. Every dollar went to debt. The laptop financing became her first target. She paid it off in 2 months, eating rice and beans, skipping happy hours. Not fun, not Instagram-worthy, but paid off. Credit cards next. She attacked the smallest balance first, $1,800. Gone in 4 months. Then the next one. Each payoff felt like removing a weight she'd gotten so used to carrying she'd forgotten it was there. 18 months later, Jessica was credit card debt-free. Her car was paid off. She still had student loans. Those would take years, but she'd increased her payments from the minimum to nearly triple. Her coworkers still drove nicer cars. They still went to expensive brunches. They still looked more successful than she did. But Jessica could afford groceries, and an emergency, and to say no to things without checking her bank account first. Tom stopped her in the hallway one morning. "You look different." "Different how?" "Lighter," he said. "Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore." Jessica smiled. "The interest charges alone would have been around $15,000 over the next decade. I just decided to stop donating to the bank." "There you go," Tom said. "Now you're thinking." Jessica still makes $73,000 a year, But now that money is actually hers. She learned something that financial institutions desperately don't want you to know. Minimum payments aren't designed to help you. They're designed to keep you paying forever, or as close to forever as legally allowed. Every small monthly obligation is a claim on your future. Every manageable payment is a piece of your income you'll never see again. Every necessary purchase financed over time costs you the one thing you can never get back: freedom. The trap isn't that you borrowed money. The trap is that you kept paying it back as slowly as possible, thinking that was responsibility. Responsibility isn't making minimum payments for 14 years. Responsibility is refusing to make payments for 14 years. In the first place,